former Disney artist, founder and creative director of PolitiZoid. If you don't know what PolitiZoid is, yes, you do. About a year ago, I've lost track of time. A year ago, 2 years ago, he came out with a video of "It's a Small World." Here it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to It's a Woke World.
And you're going into It's a Small World. The Communist Party, in cooperation with the Communist Party, paying for this. Reimagine tomorrow. And the animation is tremendous. The production value is tremendous. And it's done by a former Disney artist. And he's on with us now. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning, Glenn.
It's good to talk to you. I have heard that you are coming out of the closet. And I don't want to out you. Is that true?
Yes. I am going to tell you that I identify as Bob Arvin.
Bob Arvin. Well, that doesn't, just because you identify as Bob Arvin doesn't make you Bob Arvin, but I digress.
Well, my parents made me Bob Arvin.
So Bob, you have been out of Disney, and you have been making these things that go really against what Disney is doing, and you've not attached your name. Why?
Well, honestly, when I started about 12 years ago, I did put my name on there, and I was doing some publicity on it. I always just branded it as PolitiZoid, and never really took that on as my own, moniker. But as things progressed, I mean, I took a little bit of a break because we had funding during the 2010 election cycle that lasted about a year and a half, and after that, we weren't able to get additional funding. So I went back to just doing client work, and the world changed. And especially when I jumped out, during the Trump administration and did the piece "Shift Hits the Fan." Once
so great.
Shared by Donald Trump.
Shift hits the
people
fan.
get nasty.
Yeah. So tell us what's going on. How long has Disney been like this? The half the characters need to be LGBTQIA. They're leaving out the 2+. By the end of the year, and it does not seem like a tolerant place if you disagree with that as your mission.
No, it's really kind of changed over the last decade or so. It's been over 20 years since I was there, but I know other people that stayed with the company. And actually, through the Woke World video and my last appearance on your show, a lot of Disney artists reached out to me.
Really?
Some just to say thank you. Others I'm working with now on projects. So I've been able to get a little more of a line on kind of how this developed. I really think the turning point was the passing of Roy E. Disney, who was Walt's nephew, in 2009. And I had heard a rumor when I was at Disney in the late 90s that there was a film in development called Wildlife. And a few of the artists that I reached out to yesterday when I knew I was going to be on your show were able to confirm what I had heard. And this film, it was going to be one of the first, this was only a couple of years after Toy Story, the first one came out.
Right.
And so Feature Animation was wanting to do CG character animation, and they were developing this film, and they probably poured millions of dollars into it, and they did a test clip, and it had some homoerotic jokes in it, and Roy Disney was watching the screening, and from what I understand, he stood up in the screening room, told the projectionist to turn the projector off, and he announced, he says, "We do not make films like this." and he shut it down, and that was that. And but I think since he passed, and then also, as the politics have changed in our nation, I think that, I guess to put it in, a not so savory term, there were sleeper cells of these kind of militant activists within the company that have been activated now, and they're emboldened, and they're using the smear campaign against the bill in Florida to push their agenda. And really, it's kind of like an internal hostile takeover of Disney is what's happening right now.
So it used to be that, people like me would go to work for Disney because you're such a huge fan, and I'd sweep the street if I had to, because I was so in awe of what Walt had done and the spirit of the place, that it was just a happy place to be where you could leave the world behind. That's not it anymore. What is the percentage, do you think? How many is the majority of the employees on this bandwagon, or are just the other employees just too afraid to say anything?
I think it's the latter. I've spoken to several that still work for the company in one capacity or another, and they are afraid to deviate in any way, shape, or form. There's some hardcore conservatives that I know that work there that HR will quiz them on gender pronouns, and if they don't say the prescribed answers, you're probably not going to continue working there. So it's entirely possible that it's that the Disney company is like a exactly like what's happening in our own country. It's like a small, active minority is steering the ship, and the majority are afraid to speak out, or only now just kind of waking up to what's going on and trying to figure out what can be done.
We're talking to Bobarvin, former Disney artist and founder and creative director of PolitiZoid, which you've probably seen many of these digitized cartoons, and they're fantastic and rare because they're done with real skill, and they kind of hold up the right point of view, if you will, and you just don't see that very often. Bob, the impact on our society. I mean, right now we're fighting this stuff in our schools, but I think Disney will have a much bigger impact than schools will even have. And I don't see parents standing up to Disney like they're standing up to the school boards.
Well, I think before people kind of had, an inkling that some of this might have been going on, but it was still kind of hidden. And so you were still willing to subscribe to Disney Plus and go to the parks and still pretend like you're going to Walt's Park from the past. But now it's like, with the footage that just came out this week, there's no doubt about the agenda and what's going on. And I don't, it's those people in the footage are living in a bubble. It's like they're all just kind of, in their little circle, saying all the same things, encouraging each other to do and say the same things. And they don't know their core audience. They are abandoning their core audience in favor of this agenda. And what they are going to do, they will, if they don't destroy it, it'll be damaged for a generation. It saddens me to say that. I mean, I was an annual pass holder for years.
Yeah,
when I first got out here, I would go down to the park just to listen to the piano player on Main Street, while everybody else was in line to ride the rides. But now, it's like Disney doesn't even want the Southern California residents because they can really bilk the tourists coming from out of town for thousands of dollars, whereas, those of us in Southern California are like, where's our discount? And they're like, discount? Are you kidding me?
Well, I will tell you that for a long time, you would put up with it, and, you'd put up because it seemed like it just became all about the money. And it was. And that's what's happening again. It's about the money. They just don't want any trouble. And, the people that they've always wanted at the park are not the angry militants. It is just the average family. And I'm hoping that this is a line that the families will draw. We've always had Disney. I mean, it's gotten much more dicey in the last 10 to 15 years. But this is now 50% of everything they make is going to be LGBTQ. That's a remarkable statement for them to make and come out with. And hopefully people will say, you know what? I don't want you teaching my kids anything. I just want sweet stories. Okay? Preserve my children's innocence. Please stop with jamming this down their throat. And I don't care what it is. I wouldn't want them talking about, conservative, hey, everybody, you got to go to this church. I wouldn't want that either. Leave my children alone, Disney. Hopefully people will see it that way, but I don't know if they will.
Well, I think people are coming to the realization that this is another part of the attack on the American family. And, without the family intact, we start to crumble as a people, as a culture, as a nation.
Yeah.
And, they didn't go after Warner Brothers. They didn't go after Universal. They didn't go after Sony. They went after Disney.
Of course.
Because they knew that was the one and only studio in Hollywood that upheld traditional American values and made family entertainment.
Yep. And they know if you capture the kids, you've got it. You win. You win. Thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate everything that you do. If you want to see his latest, it's pretty good. You can find it at PolitiZoid.com. PolitiZoid.com. Bob, thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
You bet. Bye-bye.